This video is Cannabis Growing Edutainment, created for viewers aged 18 and over. By continuing to watch, you confirm that you are 18 years of age or older. All activities depicted in this video are conducted in compliance with our laws here in Canada. Oh hey, don't forget to watch to the end of this video for funny bloopers and dumb stuff. Okay, now we know you're a grown-up. Welcome to Grow Daddy TV.
Come on!
Hey everybody, I'm Grow Daddy, aka Patrick, and welcome to Grow Daddy TV Studios. You have made it. You've made it to the 9th season, the 22nd episode, and it is our yield video. And I got to tell you guys right off the bat, it's gonna be a long one. This is where we go over everything in great detail. We give you guys a great look at the buds, and we show you guys the quality of the buds. We weigh them out,
and the numbers,
and we guys give you the numbers. And Mrs. Grow Daddy, she's going to get into my head, and she's going to ask me questions about the grow and what I might do differently next time and what I did right this time. We're just going to talk basics. She's going to get into my head.
I'm going to be a Barbara Walters.
Yeah. So if you guys want to jump ahead, we've got our what do you call it?
We've got the timestamp, so in case this is of no interest to you,
or whatever, you jump to whatever time you want. We've got timestamps where you can jump to different segments and see what you want if you guys want to get out of here quick. But if you're interested in the details, stick around because, well, you might be interested. Come on.
So what overall grade would you give this grow?
This grow is getting a B+. That's how good it is. It's getting a B+. There's room for improvement, but and we'll go over why it's a B+, and we didn't give it an A. But we got really close this season.
Last grow was a C.
Yeah, just to kind of give you, we grade, and this may be biased. This may be very biased. Nobody else is grading. We are. It's kind of, it's almost silly, isn't it, Mrs. Grow Daddy?
Of course it is.
But anyways, we're
the
trying.
whole show is silly.
Yes, that's right. But we're trying to be as humble as we can and be as honest as we can for anybody watching that wants to learn from what we're doing right or wrong in our tent.
Okay, let's get into Grow Daddy's head right now. I'm going to start digging around in there. And first question, how about the soil?
Soil? Well, I'm mixing my own soil, as you guys probably know if you watch the show. And the reason why I started mixing my own soil was because Fox Farm got out of Canada, and that's what I was using. So I started mixing my own soil.
Sort of a Coots-based recipe.
Kind of. I'm using peat and I'm using compost and amendments and stuff, much like he did. It's not exactly his recipe, or for that matter, probably.
Oh, and the Grow Daddy TV soil recipes in the spreadsheet you can download below.
That's right, if you're interested. And I'm tinkering with it every grow. I'm tinkering, doing something a little different with it. And of course, next season, I'm going to be tinkering with it a little more. You're going to have to come check out and see what I do to the soil.
And we were saying about how I'm a bit of a feeder, and I was thinking, Grow Daddy, could you please feed those girls some more amendments and teas and top dressing and stuff? They want it.
Well, let me tell you something, Miss Grow Daddy. She's getting more involved, you guys, even though she doesn't. She watered these plants for a few days when I went to Vegas, and now she thinks she knows it all. She's telling me what she wants me to do next season differently than I did this season, and she's giving me.
I'm a feeder.
Not only that, but you're getting much more involved in if something's wrong in the tent. Like we had a lot of what do you call it? The buds when they do what they do.
Foxtailing.
We had a lot of foxtailing, and of course, Mrs. Grow Daddy's now in there, telling me what she thinks.
I think it's a BPD.
She thinks it might be the environment. I'm not sure. I know it wasn't the lights, and that's traditionally what causes foxtailing if it's not a genetic trait of a particular bud.
But when they all do it, and there are 4 different strains,
it's leaving me a little room to think it might be my fault. And like I like to say, when you think it's the genetics, sometimes you should look within. You should look within. What are you doing wrong? Our genetics that we're using are, what can I say? They're what they are. What they are. They're not F4s. They're basic genetics that we're buying for the most part.
So how about next season? Do you think we're going to do more amendments and teas and top dressings and stuff?
Absolutely. What we're gonna do is I think we're gonna do a top dressing for sure. Mrs. Grow Daddy couldn't stand seeing the leaves turn yellow.
Oh my God, no, yeah.
They started turning, I think we started seeing yellow leaves in the 7th week.
Yeah.
I thought it was all great. I figured it was gonna be part of the fade, and it was. It looked great. I still had leaves. I liked it, you guys. The plants turned out good, but you know what? we're gonna up our amendments a little bit, and we're not gonna have any yellowing next. We'll have probably a fade, but we won't have any yellowing because we're losing a little bit of nitrogen, or looking like it's starting. The amendments are starting to flush out. We'll put a few more in there for Mrs. Grodaddy, and we'll also see if it helps our yield next season. We'll see if it does any good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of the things we'll be changing is our amendments a little bit.
So how about the lights? Is there anything you want to talk about with the lights that we did?
You know what? No. Pretty much we're setting our lights pretty much at the same place in our different stages, whether they be seedlings, veg, or flower. Our lights are pretty much going in the same place. I do think I will be probably upping the lights a little quicker in transition for a little less stretch. I'm gonna try to manipulate the girls into stretching a little less this next season and see how that works out for us. We'll just have to wait and see. It's just what I'm gonna do.
That's right.
I don't even know why, but but we will. Of course, we put everything down and we learn from things. And if you guys want to learn from them, again, everything is going to be in the spreadsheet. The par we were using, the day, the flowers,
how many
everything.
inches from the canopy.
Everything, all the details.
But that's a really interesting point that you brought up there about the stretch. So what exactly is the stretch?
Oh, the stretch is what happens in between. We call it the transition, and it's when we flip our vegged plants into flower, and we go from 18.6 on our lights to 12.12.
That's a light cycle.
That's a light cycle every day, and that's going to bring down our DLI in the tent quite a bit, actually.
And that's daily light integral. That just basically, in a nutshell, it means that your girls are getting 6 hours less
of what they were getting
of light.
So when the lights do turn on,
overnight.
Right. So when the lights do turn on, our girls are going to want to stretch up to the light. They're going to want more of it. They're just going to be kind of hungry for light.
They're desperate for
They've
it.
been getting more than this, and now they're getting less. So they're going to kind of stretch.
So they get tall fast.
Yeah, and usually the stretch is 2 to 3 weeks, and based on your cultivar, some strains will stretch a little less, a little more. Some don't stretch at all. We found out this less grow though, didn't we?
That's right, but you like to kind of control it. Like sometimes it gets a little out of hand. They get too tall and spindly, right?
Well, they do, and I'm gonna see if I can manage our height in the tent and keep our girls down by probably starting to raise the light a little sooner in the transition period.
Like turn up the light.
Turn up the light, give them what they want. They'll stop stretching up. I'm gonna have some lower. I'm not gonna have those long legs. I'm gonna have shorter legs, and maybe they'll be a little thicker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe they'll be a little thicker, and maybe our buds will be a little bigger. I don't know. I'm hoping maybe this might contribute
but
to
that might be something different to do next grow.
Certainly, and that's what we're going to try to do.
So how about your watering practices this season?
Oh, this season, my water practices, I really thought I did a good job. I got to water them on top all season long, and that gave me more joy than ever. Because I quickly found out, by the way, by the end of the grow, I was trying to get rid of gnats, and I think the last couple weeks of the grow, we bottom watered, and I got little joy. I didn't get any joy, let's be honest. I got zero joy. It just gave me no joy. I didn't realize I got such joy from watering the girls on top every day. But at any rate,
it's the most satisfying feeling.
Yeah.
You just pour the water on top of the soil, it just goes, just disappears immediately.
Yeah. I feel like watering this last season, I kept things a little drier than I did from the previous season. And we keep everything in the descriptions. You can get our spreadsheet and get all these details.
Yeah, if you're a water geek.
Or if you have a Blue Map moisture meter and you're wondering how I water, and comparing to your own grow, you can kind of compare and come up with your own, idea of where you want it. But I'm going to do the same thing again. I use Blue Map moisture meters, and they work on a tensiometer, and that describes how much moisture is in the soil. Mm-hmm. You guys can look at all the details and follow the show.
You were just doing it like you were just kind of doing it like with this predictive way of watering, where you just kind of look at the millibar readings from the day before, which would tell you, oh, it was very wet or very dry. And then the next day, try to go like, okay, I gave them 1 liter yesterday. I'm going to give them 1.2 liters today or something like that.
Kind of, Mrs. Grow Daddy. I mean, it's not exactly like that. You basically see these numbers every day, and you know whether to give them more or less to raise or lower those numbers. And it's not as hard as it sounds or as complicated. It's really quite easy.
You're just kind of figuring out how much they drank.
Yeah, but you can go in the spreadsheet and look at how much I gave them and what their numbers were when I gave it to them and how I raised or lowered based on their numbers. I mean, you can go down and kind of get a good idea of how I water. If you have a blue mat, or if I've completely bored you to death, you should have just, went to the next segment.
So now that we're talked about water, how about gnats? Because you're the gnat guy, right?
Well, I've been the gnat guy because I don't hear anybody ever talking about it. It's like, I'm just a whiner, I guess. Everybody kind of has gnat issues, and everybody's got a way of trying to solve those gnat issues. And I've kind of made it part of my content, I guess. It's for me.
Guy.
Yeah, I am the gnat. So call me the gnat guy. Yeah, I like that. At any rate, we've had gnats in our grows, every single grow except for one. The only grow we didn't have gnats in, I completely dried out the soil, and we just didn't see a gnat the entire grow. And I have everything dried out right now, and most of the stuff's dry. And I'm going to bring in dry. All my new soil that I've mixed up, I'm gonna make sure there's no larvae or gnats in it, and I'm gonna bring it into the grow room.
And there's no gnats in here right now.
There's no gnats in here. We bottom watered, and several weeks have went past, so we're not gonna have any. I just honestly don't know where a gnat would come from, and if it happens, well, then we're gonna start trying some of the methods that a lot of our.
The cinnamon, I'm totally intrigued about the cinnamon.
There's a lot of different things. I mean, I've already tried a lot. I mean, I've done. The BTI, I've done the
diatomaceous earth.
Yeah, I mean, there's things that I've already tried. So, and then I'm also starting to read in the comments that some people are putting that they did these things and did dry back. Well, I can probably almost guarantee the dry back got rid of your gnats, because that's what it's been for me. Is drying out my soil has been the best thing to get rid of gnats.
Oh yeah, and you also wanted to say about
stickies.
The sea of yellow.
Yeah, and that's what I did this grow, so I was able to. I did get gnats, a couple of them here and there. I dried out the soil, but not as much as I should have, and we did end up having a couple gnats. Never had an infestation. In fact, there was always one kind of flying around, but not many. I mean, seriously. And I'm gonna say I like the stickies. I have a sea of stickies at the bottom of my
sea of yellow.
Yeah, I don't even need mulch because it just takes care of the top.
It acts like mulch.
And it kept the mulch. It kept the gnats down to almost nothing in the tent, and it was
pretty good.
It was kind of like a find for me.
Low tech.
I've always put out some stickies, but the results were kind of Well, when I lined everything with stickies.
We're even kind of thinking of like inventing a new kind of sticky that's just like a two-piece. You just like one big side for half and the other big side for
You know what I like? I like the idea. I'll tell you what I like, Mr. Grundy. I like the idea of maybe we shouldn't give away this idea.
Don't worry about it.
You sure?
Yes.
Because I'm thinking about making some round ones. If you got some round ones made,
a new design.
and you cut out a hole where your stem would be, and you just cut out that hole, and then you cut a little line. You can just put it. You can just put it on top as your mulch. Anyways.
Yeah.
If you want to use it, you guys can use it. If you guys want to make
we're citizen scientists, we're citizen inventors, right?
Bring it out there.
Open source, baby.
Yeah, but gnats, there's no stress about gnats anymore.
Nah.
Because even if I have them, I'm going to use enough stickies where I have control over the gnats, where they're really not going to be an issue at all. So that's where we are on gnats.
I think that's enough about gnats.
I think it is.
How about the VPD, that's vapor pressure deficit, this grow?
That is basically our environment, you guys. VPD stands for vapor pressure deficit. And it's basically your environment, and there is a chart where you can find out where your grow
where your sweet spot is.
Where your sweet spot is. And we feel that in flower this last season, we were using 60 relative humidity with 80, 82 degree temperatures for most of our flower. Next season, I'm going to bring that down to about 50. I think I was a little high on the humidity.
The humidity might have been high.
Looking at the chart, it's kind of hovering on the too high side, and it may have triggered
the foxtailing.
Our foxtailing. That's the only thing we can think of that might have triggered our foxtailing.
Yeah, nobody's saying that, but we are pretty sure the foxtailing wasn't the light.
Hey, it can be genetics, you guys. It can be genetics, but you want to know what? Don't leave out the fact that it could be the grower.
It could be you.
It could be you, because trust me, we're all learning. And one thing I have humbled myself with is do not look at the genetics at all as the fault.
Stop the blame game.
Stop the blame. I mean, hey,
the blame game.
There's some things you cannot change, like for instance, honor not stretching. I didn't have anything to do with it. And I got proof right next to her, Grace. She stretched right up. So I can say it was the genetics.
They got the same absolute everything.
I've done the same thing to 4 plants though. So
They
I know the grower can do that too. The grower can do that too. I'm just saying, you guys, let's stop blaming everything on genetics.
So you skipped the solo this time.
I did. I skipped the solo this time, and we're going to do it every time thereafter because it was. I would actually, to be honest with you, to make the grow even easier, I would grow from the sprouts right into the final pot, the 7-gallon pot. But I would have to use 2/10 to do it. So what I do is I up pot the sprout into 1.5s to start their new journey, and go through their first bit of their seedling stage, and then about 3 weeks of veg stage they'll spend about 5 weeks total in those 1.5s. And I probably won't water for the first 4 weeks because I literally moisten the soil perfectly.
This is the Grow Daddy TV hack.
It is a little hack, and we show how we do it on the show as we go through the grow.
Pre-moisten that up pot soil.
Exactly. I get the soil the right moisture that I like it, where the girls aren't going to drown. I put the seedling in the soil. Not seedling, I put the sprout in the soil. It's perfectly moistened, so there's enough in there for the roots to go after water, but they're not drowning. And it takes
a long time.
It takes 4 weeks it takes up to 4 weeks for them to go through that first container of water. So I never have to worry about watering at all. I might spray the top, a couple times, just spray the top a little bit with a water bottle, just to keep the top of the soil kind of moist. Other than that, that's all I'm doing for the first 4 weeks after I up pot. And the same goes for when I up pot to the 7-gallon, that I pre-moisten the soil, and then I don't have to water for the first, few weeks, 4 weeks, I don't know, whatever it is. I don't have to touch them until those pots get a little dry. And that's when it really starts for me, because I got the blue matte moisture meters in the soil, and then I start watering them every single day from the first time I water them after about 4 weeks.
Yeah. Okay, we've been kind of obsessing about how many bud sites in our tents. This girl. So how about that? What do you think?
I think we're still kind of going between 40 and 50 bud sites. 57 was a bit much. But it is what it is. I don't know if it made my other buds any smaller. I don't think it, honestly, it crowded them a little bit. I think it's okay. That's not our goal. We're in between 40 and 50 buds.
40 and 50, I think, is that sweet spot.
I think it is a good sweet spot.
Yeah.
I think it is a good sweet spot. So we'll keep trying to pinch. I'm a very pinchy daddy.
Pinchy daddy.
Yeah, and that's how I get all the bud sites. And of course, if you watch, I train to get all those bud sites to the top.
Yeah, we even got a couple of videos where you show it. So.
Hey, I take out a lot of, those bud sites too. The ones that aren't going to make it up to the top, we get rid of those.
It is really tough to watch you sometimes, like pinching off and chucking away a perfectly beautiful little flower that's growing on there. It's just like, bang. You were going for like top nodes only, like top buds only.
Yeah.
Describe how you do that.
Well, I just keep it all clean underneath the top few nodes on the top when I'm cleaning up my stem. I lollipop the plant, of course, when I defoliate, and then I take off all the nodes, the bud sites, all the way up the stem, all the way up to the top. I would say 2 or 3 top nodes are all kind of together there.
They're all kind of bunched up.
Yeah, and as they go through transition and stuff, you may see those nodes stretch, and then those little bud sites, or whatever you want to call them, those nodes, I see them. If they go down too low, I take them off because I want just the tip of the spear. I just want
That's what he said.
Just a tip, please. Come on, just a tip.
But you just want the very tippity top on
Pretty much.
There, and everything else. You firmly believe that this will result in larf if you don't do that.
No, it won't. You can have genetics where things will grow, better down the stem. And a different growing style too. Maybe they'll grow better down the stem when you have more open canopies than we have. But our style of growing, where we have a very thick canopy on the top and we're growing everything on the top, I have found, especially since we don't know what genetic we're growing from season to season, you just don't know. So let's make our chances the best we can at growing top shelf bud. Mm-hmm. If we were growing, say, something that we knew how it grew and we were growing clones from it, and we knew exactly how it grew, we could grow that style if we knew they got hard down the bottom. Mm-hmm. we don't grow that style. I know most growers out there that are growing seeds, different stuff, they don't know either. I just think this is just a good way for me to grow, so I can ensure quality and still get I get a good yield. I mean, I'm getting
It's like your quality is a must-have and your quantity is a nice-to-have.
Yeah. I think quality comes first.
Yeah.
For a couple different reasons, and not just for one reason, quality. You enjoy giving it away. Mm-hmm. More
Satisfaction, pride in your.
I gave away stuff from my last season, and every time I gave it away, I had to give it away with an apology. I really did. I just gave some stuff away the other day from my last season, to a couple friends at the golf course.
Kind of bee buds.
And I had to, preface it by saying, I'm really sorry. They're not the best.
That's all I got.
But I hope you enjoy it. It'll probably work. Pretty much left it that. But the reason, but having to say that alone, really kind of takes a little bit of, really puts a little sting on it. And I'll tell you what's really fun, and I even found fun because we did real good this season. And I'll tell you what, I enjoyed every single minute. I got tired because I did it all in one day, but I enjoyed every single minute of trimming them, and wouldn't have wanted to give that to anybody else. I wouldn't have wanted anybody to share that with me.
Yeah, I was not invited to trim.
You were not.
Mm-hmm. So, TRICHOMES, we both were remarking that this is like one of the frostiest grows you've ever had.
Yeah, and to be quite honest, I'd like to think it was me, but it could be a coincidence, that I just had some very, very good genetics in the tent. But you know what? Maybe it was something I did. Maybe it was the drier soil I was keeping it at, or maybe it was
just the continuous hydration, but at a lower moisture level.
Yeah, it could be the environment that we're going to change.
Yeah, I know.
We're about ready to change the environment, and it could be that very environment, that affects the trichomes.
Yeah, wild, eh?
It is, but I don't think so, because we've been at that environment for the last few grows and we haven't noticed it. So I really am thinking it's the water. I really am. I think it's the water. It's got to be. I don't know. Just don't know. But,
Science.
But I'll tell you what. It was pretty awesome to see all 4 girls light up like Christmas trees with all the, all the frost and stuff
and
they had on them.
Now that you've trimmed them too, I was just looking.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait to show everybody.
The bud porn.
And some of it is more
sparkly.
Well, I'm gonna, let me drop some. Let me drop a little. Let me drop a little teaser. Yeah. Grace. I'd like to say it's the Cinderella story, right? That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say to you guys. I think Cinderella, we definitely had a Cinderella story in the tent with Grace. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got anything else for me, Miss GrowDaddy?
You always agonize about harvest timing. When am I going to pull these? When am I going to pull these? Should I pull them? Is it too late? Is it too early? How do you feel about harvest timing this season?
I'm thinking we probably hit it about perfect. Could it have gone another week? Yes. It could have gone another week, but for reasons of us
having lives.
And also our schedule that we have to flower and dry before July, right? So we have to get our next grow started, and that's a major motivator for us because we're popping seeds next week and getting this next grow on, and that was a major motivator.
But other than that, you feel like it was good timing?
Yeah, I would have liked to have went another week.
Yeah, I know you were saying that.
But I really do feel like I'm not taking them too early. I feel like there was everything looked really nice. That's all I got to say. I would have liked to have seen more amber on all of them. Yeah, I would have. And by the way, I read the report on all these different strains, and all these different strains were saying flower was 8 to 9 weeks.
8 to 9 weeks, I know. It's like, in what universe?
Yeah, one of them might have been 8 to 10 weeks or something, but nowhere near 12 weeks. So, I looked at all these strains and they were all saying a lot less time for flower. But I'm not one to look at, these things anyway.
Yeah, you've just done this so many times. You just know when it's
ready.
And
quite honestly, not to drop names, but Jeremy over in the grow tent, Jeremy in Build a Soil. Yeah, boy, I'm high, you guys. You see that, right? So Jeremy over in Build a Soil was talking about he noticed And I don't have any reference, but he, as a grower that's been growing for a lot longer than me, he was making reference to that he's noticed that his grows are quite a bit longer organically. You know, I just heard him saying this, and I go, oh, interesting. That he takes his quite a bit further into the 12th week or so on and so forth, and he feels, or this was his opinion, that it was because they were organic, and I suppose he used synthetics before and got, you know, his stuff flowered earlier, so on and so forth. Just that's my only frame of reference.
Organic thing.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy, for, you know, giving me that frame of reference.
Validation.
It's validation that I'm okay. I'm okay.
We're okay.
Yeah, we're okay.
You stopped watering about 5 days before the harvest. Is that bro science or what? Like,
You know what? I guess it is, because I don't do it for any specific reason besides I've seen Mr. Canuck do it, and I've seen, you know, a list of everybody, right?
Just kind of
a list of everybody. I've seen so many growers on YouTube doing it that I've been doing it, I think, every single grow, and I just continue to do it. And to dry out my girls, and they went a couple extra days this time, because Mrs. Grodaddy, you know, she kept putting it off, you know, the video of me.
I was busy.
And I can't do anything without her, as you guys know. Every step I take, every breath, breath I take, every step I take. I don't know how it goes, but you get what I'm trying to say, right?
That's funny.
Yeah, so she actually put it off for at least 2 days.
Did I delay your...
Yeah, those things were dry.
Yeah.
And then they went another 2 days.
Do you suppose... I wonder if it has any effect on the quality or anything of the bud, but I would guess that it would save you time on the drying rack, right? If they're pretty dried up, then you hang them.
Actually, you know what? When they're in there, I only had one of the girls that even flopped over. The other girls were still standing up, which is amazing with those big long legs, that they still had the strength to stand up when they were that dry. And I mean, they had no moisture in them for a couple days. So they were in relatively good shape. And they weren't the leaves were even some of the leaves. You have to check out that video to see what I'm talking about. But it was still okay. And trust me, those, you know, Blue Mat moisture meters were
reading over 900.
Yeah, which I've never seen them over 900 in the driest soil. Basically, when they suck all that water out, you know, trying to measure on the tensiometer, they end up sucking all that water out of that tube. That and eventually
that tube becomes like one of those watering things where it's got water in it, so it'll start leaching out.
Needless to say, it's as far as I know, it's bro science. I don't know if there's any science behind it. Besides, I think the last 4 days when I decided to dry them out, the last 4 days or so, I lowered down the par in the tent, you know, a lot.
Winter is coming.
Yeah, I went from I think I went from 170 or 275 watts down to 200 watts, and there's probably about 600. There's probably about 600 par on the canopy for about 4 days. So I was kind of letting them know, you know, things are ending. I was stopping their water. I was kind of letting the lights go down low. Letting them off gently, if you ask me, you know, really. And then, you know, but I didn't go dark. You know, that's a thing that people do.
Yeah, I wonder about that.
Well, Dr. Bruce Bugby, watching a thing from something I watched a couple years ago from him, talking all about this. And as far as he couldn't really say based on the cannabis plant, but he says plants in general, and they don't know of any other plants that perform any differently. You know, this shouldn't, because there's lots of plants with trichomes on them. You know, tomatoes, peppers. There's all kinds of vegetables and different stuff that have trichomes on them. And in the world of plants, you know, going dark, because they've done studies on these, wouldn't change anything as far as terps or anything else on the plant.
Well, you know what? I think I was watching a YouTube with some, and this lady was a horticulturalist doing cannabis, and I can't remember her name, but she said that as long as the lights are on, the plant is photosynthesizing, and they're making chlorophyll. So chlorophyll apparently it just has this kind of bad taste, and that's why you
I don't think I get a bad taste.
Dry it and cure it.
And I think what Dr. Bruce Bugby was saying was, if you turn off the lights, they're not doing anything anymore.
They're not
photosynthesizing, so they're not.
Chlorophyll.
They're just not doing anything. How can they transform into anything?
But I think that the chlorophyll that's in them would be beginning to break down that way.
Interesting.
That's what happened. Well,
I'm just going based on
we
science.
don't know.
From what I understand from watching Dr. Bruce Bugbee is there's nothing that happens.
Yeah.
There's just nothing that happens. As far as him and his colleagues, he's very careful on what his statements that he states general because they haven't tested on cannabis. So as far as we know, there's not a paper on it and it's complete bro science.
Hey, and we're available. You know, if you gave us a lab, we'd do some experiments.
Well, I am doing experiments, Mrs. Grodaddy. For crying out loud, I turned the lights down. I dried everything out. It's total bro science. It's no different from turning the lights out for 3 days. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Citizen science.
Citizen science.
We don't know anything
Exactly.
about this stuff. Okay, let's talk about the drying, your experience with the drying this time. Because we no longer dry and hang and dry at 60-60,
Yeah,
right?
we've changed the way we dry our buds, and we feel, well, I feel more confident with changing. We're drying instead of 60-60, we're drying at about
68-60.
Yeah, 68-60.
And that's a dew point of what, 53 or 54?
54, I think.
Yeah.
53 or 54, it's a dew point. And it's kind of lined up with what they're doing with the Canatrol, how they're drying in a Canatrol. And a Canatrol is one of those little, refrigerators that dries and cures your buds. And so we went down a doodlebug hole, one season on that. And
major dew point rabbit hole.
Well, we understand enough of it that I don't want to talk about it. Besides, we're kind of trying to follow that philosophy of drying at dew point.
Yeah.
And because sometimes our temperatures have fluctuated up a little bit from 68 to 72 or 73 degrees, and we've had to move the humidity to make our dew point the same. I mean, that's what we say when we're drying to dew point. But perfect.
It's kind of a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
We'll put a link to one of the explainer videos, but it's a different way of drying, and it seems to work well for you for your flavor.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I just absolutely, and I also, it doesn't, you would think drying at a higher temperature, it would dry the girls out faster. I'm not getting a faster dry out of it. They're still drying in the same amount of time. And I just love it. And this particular time I dried, in this time of year, and not having any problems with temperature.
It's winter, it's cold.
When I can control the heater, I can control my environment.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
we've got
Because we don't have an air conditioner, so we can't bring the heat down. But when we have a heater, we can control the environment.
Yeah, and we've got electric baseboard heating. It kind of goes on and off. You can see the swings on your app, right? You can see the temperature.
I'll tell you what happens.
Oh, it just kicked in.
I'll tell you what happens, Miss Grodaddy, is I got the thermostat in the room set to 68 degrees, so it goes up to 68 degrees, and then it goes down to 65 before it turns on again. It goes from 65. So that's my swing with humidity in this room. And as far as heat in this room, I think
that was the heat, right?
That was the heat, excuse me. That's my swing on the heat. And as far as the humidifier, it never even turned on. Yeah, wow. It barely turned on because what I had to do was I had to put a wet towel over a bucket.
Oh, yeah.
I put a wet towel over a bucket.
Too dry?
Yeah, it's been dry here lately. Our humidity's been up around here.
Yeah, and those electric baseboard heaters, they tend to
that's
dry
right.
the air.
Yeah, so you got to imagine that. Yeah, that's what you're doing. They're competing with each other, right?
Yeah. Always.
So, I mean, do I have a humidifier? Yes, but I'm the simplest way is the best way. And I'll tell you what, I just throw a wet towel over a bucket. It's got a nice drain pan.
There you go. There's a humidifier.
And there's enough humidity for the room that it needs to compete with the heater. This room that we dry and grow in, when we have this door closed, it's
pretty much airtight.
It's sealed.
Yeah.
It's airtight. So it's pretty cool.
So how long did you dry them out for? We always talk about like the sweet spot being anywhere between 4 to 10 days, I think. But how long did these guys go?
7 days, right on the money. They went 7 days. Wow. Yeah, I got a little nervous. I think the 6th day or the 5th day, I got a little nervous, and I took off some of Faith because she had. Was it Faith? No, it was
Honor.
It was Honor because she had real small buds, and I figured she's going to dry out the fastest. Let me see where she's at.
So you'd put it in a jar and throw a hygrometer
I
in
actually trimmed up quite a few of them first because I wanted to.
I noticed.
I was dying to get my hands on those girls. Anyways, so I trimmed her up, and she looked dry and felt dry, and I put her in a jar, and her humidity went up pretty, you can tell if their humidities, sometimes it can take overnight, but if it happens real quick, really quick. I always say leave them in the jar for at least 12 hours. You know, because
yes, because sometimes the moisture from inside that bud is going to kind of equalize, and it's going to take time to equalize with the air in there, right?
But sometimes you drop them in and the humidity goes up immediately.
Suddenly.
So you don't need to wait, and you don't need to wait more than fucking 5 seconds.
They're too wet.
You just know they're too wet. So open the jar, take them out and put them on a screen, and you know all your other girls where you kind of know where everything else is at. I don't snap stems. I don't do anything.
That's something we absolutely never do anymore. I remember when we were filming that harvest video, and I'm going like, just get a fucking stem to snap, and it's
we can't snap stems anymore
they
either.
Don't make a snapping
no, we have
sound.
Tops only.
Yeah, that's
There's nothing growing down our stems, so we can't even snap stems if we wanted to.
Yeah.
But we definitely suggest don't wait until your stems are snapping. You've probably overdried your buds.
Yeah.
You've probably overdried them at this point. So at any rate, came down the next day. I trimmed up everything. I still left everything open. I trimmed up everything, and then I jarred everything up, and everything was absolutely perfect humidity. 62. This hygrometer has been in here for more than 24 hours. Okay, and then look at this. That's Faith. Okay. Hope. 61. Okay, that's Hope. Honor. 62. Honor. And they've been these hygrometers have been in here for over 24 hours.
I think we need to buy one more Govee hygrometer just to be.
Yeah, I only had 3. But I'll tell you what, Grace, after I checked Grace, because that's what I did, she was the next one I cut her open, and she had some big buds, so I knew if she was good, everybody else would be good. So I absolutely tested her first, and her buds are, I got them all.
61
I got them all in the jar. I mean, this is what you want, you guys, to preserve the terps. And this is part of the art as well in the tent. I like to say this is you've grown these things for what?
You're an artist in the garden.
Like 5 months now, right? I've been growing for almost 4.5 months or whatever it is. And you take this, you could ruin what you've done in the last 5.5 months in just 1 week, 2 weeks with the dry and with the, now they're curing. So my one thing I want to tell any beginners out there that have never done this, because I'm still getting better at this every season. Every time I do it, I feel like I'm getting more confidence, and I don't worry like I used to.
Yeah.
I got my parameters. I check the buds on time, and that's all I need to do, and that's what I did. So my biggest word of advice for anybody that is just learning how to dry their buds and cure their buds, because it's a very it's just
kind of an art and
it's I would have to say it's almost, if not more important than the actual grow, because you can turn some really good buds into some really bad buds by not doing it correctly. And as a beginner, there's a learning curve, I think, for the most part. I really do. I have certainly been on this learning curve. Every grow, it's been getting better. So is it going to get easier and better? Bring it, because it's really getting to a point now where I have a lot of confidence. But get your buds in the jars before they're too dry. That's the one thing I'm going to say. Check your buds. Don't be afraid
to put a hygrometer in there and see if they're too wet. You just leave it open, right?
Well, it depends how wet they are. I mean, if they're a couple off, but literally, if they really need to dry, get them out on a screen and dry your buds out. Wait 8 hours, wait 24 to try them again. Whatever you think. I don't know how high your hygrometer was reading, but nevertheless, that's basically it. Don't over dry your buds, because when you over dry your buds, your terps and all the great flavors that these buds have are going to say goodbye bye. They're going to say they're going to say goodbye bye, and there's no getting them back.
The terps have left the building.
They've left the building. I mean, you can put a carrot or a little piece of apple in there and bring the humidity back into the buds, but you cannot bring the terps back. They're gone. Yeah, that's the one thing I want to say to anybody learning. And after 9 seasons, this has absolutely been the easiest for me, and it gets easier every time. And I feel like I just really nailed it.
Okay, so we were going to talk about the grow bags that we just love so much here. Hey, look at what's on your T-shirt there.
Oh. Grow bag.
You want to do a little pirouette for the back of the back of the shirt is even cooler. How cool is that? Turp. Anyway, so we put these jars out there because Mrs. Grow Daddy is a little bit of OCD or whatever, matchy. I like the display. Well, we like the display, you know, to show you how much we got. But Grow Daddy's like, oh my goodness, these bags work like magic.
Actually, the grow bags, we really love them. And, you know, what can I say? They sent me a shirt. But they don't buy my praise at all. They don't buy it at all.
They don't pay us. They give us grow bags.
They give us some bags.
We love them.
We really do like them, or we just use the jars. The grow bags are a step up. And we really enjoy using them, and we're going to bag up all this stuff.
Yeah, this is for display purposes only. This stuff is all going into bags.
Yeah, it's all going in bags because it's one of those no-brainer things where you can throw the stuff in bags. Now you have to. There's a couple things to it though.
Caveats.
There's a couple caveats to these bags. Should we get into it later?
Yeah, no, yes.
Okay.
Let's just talk about that because you know, like some people think they can throw their wet bud in there and it's just gonna. Some sorcery is going to take the moisture out.
Yeah, you know what? To be quite honest, I don't even know what these are at, but it keeps them between 58 and 62, right? Humidity, and that's basically what it kind of keeps them at. But you can't throw things in there, you know, at some stupid like, you know, 64, 65, 60, anything. It's not going to take moisture out of your buds, you know, but it's going to keep the moisture right in there, you know, from your outside air or whatever. I don't know what it's doing. I'm not a goddamn scientist. But I'll tell you what it does do. I'll tell you what it does do for me. I don't have to burp jars. Yeah. I don't have to think about, I just don't have to think about it.
No burping, no farting around.
Yeah.
We got a tagline for you.
It just really keeps the terps from me. I just really love that it just takes one more aspect out of the grow that I don't have to think about. I love science. I don't have to know anything about it. I really don't. I just don't have to know what the science is. I just know it works for me. And
there was something that they wanted to tell us, to mention, that we never mentioned before. In fact, we never knew. And that's that you are supposed to fill them up about 80% or so. They said like leave 20% headroom. Yeah,
they're talking about now. They're talking about because they saw my last video, and I brought out some of my old, you know, my buds from the previous grow, and there was like, you know, an eighth or whatever was in the bag, an ounce, and there was just a little bit in there. So they thought they ought to let me know what works for these bags, and you shouldn't have any. You should leave about 20% room in the top, okay? And you shouldn't, and they work best if you don't have less than 50% of the bag filled.
Yeah, you should fill them at least 50% and up to 80. So between 50 and 80% full.
To actually use them. This is just like a little. I think this is just something I've learned and something I'm going to, you know, try to practice by when I drop down below 50% in a bag. I'm going to move it to some smaller things. I'm not going to rely on the bag to be doing the job it's been doing.
I think that's why they sent us some extra bags.
Yeah, I believe you're correct. And I'm going to just put them.
Do you have those bags?
I do. Yeah.
Here, let's just
Okay.
Well then, let's just take a look at what they sent us because they're so nice to us.
Well, they are, and you know what?
And they sent me some different sizes because they were noticing that some of your bags were kind of empty. And
yeah, they have all kinds of different sizes.
Oh, look. That looks like a nice way to stash your stuff.
Yeah, and you know, to be quite honest, these are really, really nice.
Hold that up to the camera.
What does it say? Canna Museum or something on there?
Yeah, Canna Museum. Yeah, it's cool. You can see inside it.
Yeah, there's a window.
It's a window. Yeah.
I don't know. There's just all kinds of stuff. And this is a little bit smaller of a bag. This will be nice for me to go into. And then, of course, and then, of course, our bags that we're going to put everything into.
Those are big Grow Daddy TV big bags.
After we've showed you everything in weed porn, we're going to put things in the bags, and that's what we're going to cure. You know, that's what we're going to go through cure. And these things, by the way, these things have been trimmed and put in the jars for just a couple days, right?
Yeah, not ready to smoke yet.
But a couple days. When did I do the trim on these?
I don't know.
You don't know? A couple days ago.
So, you ready to check out some bud porn, Grow Daddy?
Well, yeah. Let's get everything laid out for you guys and show you guys exactly how beautiful these girls are. I haven't seen them in a couple days. I'm really anxious to see them. Let's go check out bud porn. We made it to our bud porn segment. This is where I'm going to show you guys the weight that we got on each of these girls. I'm going to show you the quality of these girls. Give you guys a really, really good look at these girls. So let's get looking at our first girl. I think we're gonna go to Faith, you know, to start out with, and we're gonna check out Faith. Faith was absolutely beautiful. You guys remember she was really purple and reddish, but really looks like she's kind of green. I'll tell you what, let's take a look. As you can see, I have the hygrometer in there, if you can see it, and 61 is the setting we have on that one, so. We don't need those anymore. Those, I just left those in there. Those have been in there for more than 24 hours. We just take a, oh wow, that smells good. She was really, really sweet and really had a really good smell. Right?
Yeah, she was really the star. She was the superstar. She was so beautiful.
I think some of the small buds, you know, that were a little bit larfy, I trimmed down to where there was no larf and they were just kind of hard at this point. A couple little tiny, but most of these are pretty decent sized buds. And they're all just really, really hard. They're not really huge buds. Let me see if I can find the biggest ones. And if you can see, they are just, you can't even squeeze them. They're just dense. This is definitely a bud. And this is what we're striving to grow, is really, really dense stuff. Let me open one of these up. This looks, like I said, the buds are fairly small. You know, they're not big. They're smaller buds, but they're
tight and they really smell nice.
Aren't they? Let me open one of these up for you, and let's be quiet and get a little MSR. They call it. What do they call it?
SMR.
SMR. Ooh. Yeah. Let's look at it all. So we've got 5.26 ounces with Faith. Now she did not make our 6 ounces. We're really striving for 6 ounces. So we got a little over 5 ounces on her, but it's all top shelf premium bud. Everything's really, really hard. Looks beautiful. It's really, really iced up. Get another shot in there. It's really, really iced up, you guys. Okay, 5.26 ounces, you guys. It really looks fucking good. Faith is just nothing but, you know, top shelf. She's really looking good. On some of the foxtailing that you did, you can see some of the foxtailing on here, you know, where these little things are out, and they do tend to break off fairly easily. But that's all going to be good smoke in the bag. So her bag appeal, what would you give it on a bag appeal? She looks pretty good, but the foxtailing is kind of pointy. I don't know about the bag appeal on this. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments what you guys think about
foxtail buds.
Yeah, and you know, I didn't do that bad of a trim on them, but I can see a few leaves that I left on them. But they're just coated with sugar, all the leaves, and there's nothing that I left on here that I'm not willing to smoke for sure. I mean, it really looks good.
You're the judge of it.
Yeah, 5.26 ounces. Let's go take a look at Hope, and let's get this stuff back in a bag. Come on. All right, let's check out Hope. Since we opened the window, her humidity went up 1. She's at 62, but nevertheless, she's good and dry, and perfectly, I might add. I haven't burped them or done anything. And oh my goodness, does she smell something? She smells like something else. She smells absolutely gorgeous. Woo. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's really nice. Here, get a whiff of that, Mrs. Crodaddy. What do you think? Tell me what you think. Tell everybody.
I don't know why, but I can't.
Does it not taste, to me, I smell sweet. Sweetness. I really do. I smell a lot of sweetness. And we also have 4 jars of her. And this is Hope. And, well, spoiler alert, you guys are about ready to find out.
Oh, we got some great light on this one.
You're about ready to find out that she is the winner when it comes to the quantity. Yeah, she yielded the best. We got, we're just short, 5.96. Mrs. Crodaddy, why couldn't have we just said 6? Why do we have to be so precise? So we didn't get 6 out of her, but we got pretty darn tootin' close. And
what is it? Did you say 5.96 ounces?
Yeah, 5.96 ounces. And she looks really, really good. Beautiful buds. Same thing, she's got some foxtailing, a little bit of foxtailing coming off these, not quite as much, but these things, are dry and and as you can see, they kind of fall off. Look how big her buds are, though. I mean, she got some really big buds. These are really nice size.
Nice.
And they're very frosty, and they smell very sweet and really, really good. Let's break one open. Anyone, like I said, there's some smaller buds here. These are hard though. They're just as hard as rocks. Some of the little buds that I took off. This looks like a piece of larf. Okay, kind of larfy, kind of a bee bud. I have 1 or 2 of these pieces. It wasn't worth separating. I would have gladly given you guys a
larf report.
A larf report.
But if it weighs less than a gram,
I just didn't have enough to even report. It just goes in with the buds because it's literally nothing, the amount that I got in here. So let's just take any bud. This is a nice big one. There's all kinds of big ones, so let's take this one and break one in half. Show you what they look like inside.
Beautiful.
Get a good focus on that? Yeah. Lots of trichomes, lots of beauty, and the smell is so sweet. For me, it's just like a very, very, very sweet. Just sweet. What is she? And we didn't even cover what these girls were. Faith was a sacred cream, and Hope is a
vanilla Pulao.
Vanilla Pulao from TERPYZ Mutant Genetics. We forgot to say, but that's what these girls are. They're absolutely gorgeous. And almost got 6 ounces out of her. And she was our biggest yielder, you guys. So if you guys voted in the poll, and the people that voted for Honor, well, you guys, not Honor, excuse me, Hope. This is Hope.
You were right.
You guys were right, because this stuff is all really hard and frosty. I'm feeling really good about the way I grew all these girls because I didn't have to trim any larf, and I also don't have to put up with any larf. And look at the size of these buds. I mean, this is what I'm going to have to give to my friends.
Feels good, huh?
There you
go, buddy.
It's also what I love to smoke and what I like to get. So it's not only giving these to my friends, but I get to give these to my friends. And typically, you aren't getting buds this big in dispensaries, right? You're just not getting them. Look at this. I want to tell you, these are real buds. Look what I have to do to snap that off. This is what I end up getting. I can't just peel these all off. It would really diminish from being able to give my friends, just the top, right? This is really nice, you guys. Let's move on to Honor next. She's the WHAM strain from Rocket Seeds, and I got to be honest with you guys. She really turned out nice, and I can't wait to show you guys. I'll tell you what, you're absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, Hope. You are the A.
The winner.
You're the A plus in the tent. I would say you are the A plus in the tent. You got your weight. You got your quality. So you are the A plus. You moved everybody up the curve, as they say. You're absolutely gorgeous. Let's take a look at Honor and see how she's looking. Come on. Let's check out Honor. Honor is our WHAM from Rocket Seeds, and she's also reading 62 in the jar after being in there for over 24 hours. So we know that she is dried out perfectly, and she just had a lot of small buds. She didn't have anything too big, but I'll tell you what, look at the ice she had. And she came from way behind with TRICHOMES production, because she didn't start out with
slower.
them. All the other girls had some nice early trichome production. She had late trichome production, but she came on strong. Her stuff is so iced up and looking so really good, isn't it?
Oh my God, the smell is...
It's different. See, smell. Let me give you a smell.
This is the chives.
You say chives, I say kind of an oniony, garlicky.
Yeah, and yet sweet. It's really wonderful.
And she was the smallest yielder, you guys. So you guys, she could have done better. But
what's the number?
They're all top buds, and there was no larf, and she looks just absolutely wonderful. And her number is 4.66 ounces.
A little over 4.5 ounces. That's really not bad.
Yeah, let me break one of these buds open, give you a look at the inside, and show you how dense. Absolutely A buds. They're all tops, and I'll tell you what, I don't think I'll grow differently anymore. I think they'll always be the top buds, and I'll do it the same way.
Yeah, zero larf.
Yeah,
Fuck larf.
and then let me break this open. Let's be quiet. Wow.
So hard.
Well, you know what? That stem isn't breaking. it's just not even snapping. And I know it's not too wet. I've had it in the jar for 24 hours, but that's the difference in the drying method that I'm using, that things are a little more, they're not as harshly dried.
Yeah.
You know, like
More
I said,
pliable.
that stem in the middle isn't even breaking. But look at those trichomes.
That's incredible. And
She's caked. She's absolutely caked in trichomes. And she's going to be 37.45 THC. And I'm anxious to use.
yeah, and just we did harvest after the peak THC most likely.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out how high she is. And using that plant check, thanks again, Plant Check, for giving us the THC, because this was one of the biggest reasons we want to test for. Let's check out Grace and see how good she's looking. And come on. All right, let's take a look at Grace and see how she looks. We got 4 jars out of her. And Grace, what do I have to say about Grace? She's our Cinderella story. Grace is Cinderella from Quebec Cannabis Seeds. And she is our Cinderella story. She really did. I have to be careful. She's foxtailed. I don't want all these little bits from the foxtail falling off, because they're all going to be delicious to smoke. But her color is she's kind of like a darker bud, so it's almost making all those beautiful trichomes just pop off of her. So she's iced up.
Yeah, I wonder if I can even catch the sparkliness.
She definitely.
It's almost like the camera isn't doing it justice, but when you were trimming her the other day, I was just
even now, I'm looking at her now with my naked eyes, and I can see how sparkly she is. So you got to be catching some of that with the camera.
Yeah, even in the dim light, it's like diamond dust.
Let's see, does that help? No.
I don't know.
We have such weak lighting in our room, that for sure. So her. What would you describe? Let me ask Mrs. Grodaddy. What would you describe that? You said diesely. Did you not say diesely?
I can't remember.
Man, I don't know what you said. See, I have a tough time. I'm going to rely on Miss Grodaddy for that. But she gave us some huge buds, and not only huge buds, but for me, I'm looking more for
bag appeal.
She's got lots of bag appeal. I'm looking forward to. Look, is that one of your hairs? Is that one of your hairs, Mrs. Grodaddy? Oh my God, Mrs. Grodaddy, that's one of your hairs. How embarrassing. So, Grodaddy don't have hairs that long. So as you can see, these buds are very large, and I'm going to be able to give these away like this. I'm just going to be able to give these away, and that's going to be really, and most of them are this big. I mean, they're all just big, beautiful buds.
You don't feel ashamed when you give away a bud like that.
No, and you know, these things are, you know, they're big, but you know, you would think maybe you could tear off some lower buds. I can't even tell where a bud begins and a bud ends on these. And I'm just going to tear one of these lower buds off if I can. It won't even tear off. I can't tear a bud off. So you can see, there you go. And it's like gum. Oh, I'm gonna, oh my goodness. I'm gonna enjoy smoking her.
Let's take a look at the inside.
More than anybody else, I think, Mrs. Grodaddy.
Oh, you can see all the sparkles now.
This, she smells sweet. She's just, what can I say? I'm enamored by her. Look how dark she is. She's dark. She's really the best, most beautiful buds I've ever seen. And they are just hammered. And now that I'm touching her, my hands are getting all sticky from all the, she's just got more on her than anybody else.
Yeah, this might actually be your favorite.
We'll see how she tastes. But by looking at her and feeling her, she's definitely some of the best quality.
So what's the number?
On her, our number is, Grace did very well too. She just got just under 6 ounces. She got 5.82. So we had two of our girls that almost got 6 ounces or so close to it. We could have almost said 6 ounces. And there's absolutely zero larf happening at all with her. She got absolutely zero larf, and she looks absolutely incredible.
So this is the way to grow. We're on the right track.
I think we're on the right track for what we want to do, you know, and what we want to get in our tent. We don't want to mess around with larf. So that's it for Grace. Come on. So we got a total weight in the tent, not including the trim, of course. We're not that desperate.
We're not that pathetic.
We got 21.7 ounces total of just nothing but dense buds and some big buds. just some beautiful buds. Really proud of what we did. And if we did add the larf, we would have made it to our 1.5 pounds. But of course, we don't play that game. We got nothing but dense, beautiful buds.
No larf and bunch of trim.
Yeah, and that tells us that we're going to try to grow with the same growth style we did last time, because we really love harvesting this kind of stuff. And I'll tell you what, next week is going to be it's going to be epic, because I'll tell you what. This was epic, but next week is more epic because
Season 10 kickoff.
Yeah, it's our season 10 kickoff. That's right. Next week, we are going to be kicking off our show and letting you guys know what we're growing in the coming season. And I'll tell you what, I'm excited. And I'm excited for a couple different reasons, because I'm going to give you a little teaser here, you guys. I'm bringing one of my favorites back. Come back next week and check it out and see who I'm bringing back in the tent. Who one of my favorites was that I want to grow again so badly that I'm going to grow again. So we'll see you guys next week. Love you guys. And again, thank you guys. You guys are the best. You guys are the greatest. These girls, before they got harvested, they said, "Daddy, tell everybody that we love them." They said that before they got harvested. They said, it was like their last words. Anyways, love you guys. See you guys next week in our kickoff for season 10. Come on. Yeah.
Welcome to our, so it's episode 22, right?
I'm guessing. You made it to our harvest video. It's season 9.
No. It's our yield video. We already did the harvest video.
Okay. Come on. It's our harvest.
It's our yield.
It's our yield video.
You could do everything better than me.
Right.
You
just wish you knew it. I wish you just didn't say that.
So
Potentiometer. So it's got millibar Mars. Fuck. Let's start again.
So how about our VPD, our vapor pressure deficit? Well, okay, so you stopped watering. Just more about the harvest. You watch you sometimes like pinching off and chucking away a perfectly beautiful little flower that's growing under you. You were going for like top nodes only, like top nodes. Harvest timing. So here's the thing. Just as always. Okay, let me start that again. Okay. We're going to talk about growth bags and why, we just put these jars here because we think the display looks really cool. That's great. So how about the VPD this grow, your vapor pressure deficit? How did that go? How about just trimming the flower nodes right to the top, or like getting top buds as opposed to letting them grow further down, so you get, trim the nose, the flower nodes right up to the top, or almost to the top. Tell us your process.
Say that again.
So how about
Come on! That was it. That was it.